Okay friends, we have a super fun little update for you. We've gotten the door installed over in the mudroom and we're now just working on patching up the gaping hole where the door had been. However, I'm actually not sure how we're going to patch up because I made a super fun discovery, which is this. Let's see if I can, it's questionable lighting. So that is some original wallpaper. I mean, I say original. I guess I don't really know when it dates to. If anybody actually knows anything about art history and wants to weigh in on this, please let me know. Also, if anyone knows any wallpaper experts or somebody who might be able to help me date all the wallpapers we have in this house, that would be amazing. Would love recommendations for this. I'm trying to find some, but also just have very limited time. So don't go out of your way to do any research for me, but just if you happen to know of somebody who does it, please let me know. But what's really exciting about this, I mean, obviously it's always exciting to find original wallpaper. I've been finding little bits and pieces of it all over, but what's super exciting about this is that, see this whole wall here? It's a fairly long, expansive chunk of wall on the side of the stairs. Look what they did. I'm gonna try and get you the good angle here. So this, it's not painted on the wallpaper, it's masonite or something very, very similar. Like basically what would go, contemporarily speaking, it would be what would go on the back of really cheap dressers, like that really thin, it's not quite cardboard, it's a little bit more sturdy than that, but barely. That's basically what this is, and they've covered the whole wall with it, which means that I can actually like pull this out. And I can see that this original wallpaper, it continues underneath, which means, in theory, this whole triangle here could have original wallpaper on it. And also, we had already noticed that there's a massive section of this wall here. This is the wall with the nice, pretty curved moldings. There's a large section of it that we had already noticed that we thought they had replaced it with drywall. And I was actually really confused. I was like, wow, they did a really good job of getting the drywall to go around, to go around that corner here and like be really elegant. It's probably not drywall. It's probably masonite because masonite bends very easily. But it's probably why they did it. But that means that starting from like roughly here, I can see a seam here, all the way back to the door, there's a good chance that that also has some original wallpaper, or maybe not original, has some really old wallpaper underneath it, which is just so exciting. I absolutely adore that. I don't have plans to keep it on the walls necessarily. One, I highly doubt that it would be the whole room. My guess is there's going to be sections that where it got tore off or it's going to be super, super damaged. I'm thinking I probably am not going to be able to keep it. But I am thinking there's a good chance I might be able to very carefully and with all the proper safety precautions pull it off and reproduce a section of it or save a section of it for somewhere else in the house. And then I've been thinking this whole time that it would be super, super fun to do really limited runs of wallpaper samples, swatches for merch if I would find big enough pieces that I could like feasibly do that. And this, if there was a whole wall of it that I'm not gonna save, could do some really fun merch. I don't know. The ideas are just flowing. But either way, I'm just super thrilled. Sorry if I'm shaking you around a lot. I'm super thrilled to have found that amazing discovery that I potentially have so much preserved, old, antique, peeling wallpaper under that masonite. Y'all, renovations can be incredibly stinky, but fortunately today's sponsor Lume can help with that. Lume is a whole body deodorant invented by OBGYN Shannon Klingman, and it's clinically proven to block body odor all day and to continue controlling BO for 72 hours, which honestly is pretty impressive. Lume is skin safe, baking soda free, cruelty free, and pH optimized to use anywhere on your body, and I do mean anywhere. So you can put it all over your body to stop odor before it starts, and they have a bunch of different application methods, from sticks and cream to spray and even wipes. So you can try them all out and find a method that works for you. And you might even find that you like different formats for different use cases. So for example, I prefer the stick on my armpits, but the wipes are perfect for throwing in a backpack or a purse for those quick on-the-go refreshes. They're small enough that I've even brought them with me on bike rides. They've got 8 different scents available to try. My personal favorite, surprisingly enough, the lavender sage. And they also have a whole wide range of aluminum-free products. Lume's starter pack bundle is a great deal for new customers. It comes with a full-size stick deodorant, a cream deodorant tube or spray deodorant, 2 free products like the wipes or the mini body wash, free US shipping, and just for my viewers, Lume is offering an extra $5 off when you click the link in the description below and enter code SMAKES at checkout. That is a deal worth over 40% off. So a big thank you to Lume for sponsoring this portion of the video and for keeping me smelling fresh throughout all my renovations. There was one last task to finish before we returned the excavator, and that was to work on the section of the foundation under the bay window that had gotten so shaken up earlier that week when we removed the giant tree stump growing at the base of the house.
La fondation finit par bouger un petit peu, mais on la répare, c'est tout.
Jean needed to fill in the giant hole left by the tree, but first we needed to repair the foundation, which at this point has been through quite a bit. So we once again used my method of numbering the faces of the stones and then taking a reference photo. This was a technique we used on the foundation behind it a little bit earlier in the week, and it worked really well there. Then we carefully unbuilt that section, laid it all out in order, and set to work cleaning up the dirt and debris, including the remnants of that root.
It grew nice and flat in between the rocks and then became a root again after.
Wow, that still goes quite far way down into our foundation.
Yeah, but it's dead, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So Phil cleaned out the gaping hole and worked on removing that last little bit of root that was hanging on in there. And then after a brief analysis of the situation and some cross-referencing of our labeled photo, we could start mixing up some mortar. Now, I went into a fair amount of detail on lime mortar and my thoughts on it in a previous episode, and then into even more depth on a corresponding second channel video. So suffice to say that I'm still in the same boat here. I'm still being caught in a pinch, needing to close up the foundation so that Jean could put the soil back and finish grading the house while we still had the excavator, and I didn't have the time or the means to get the proper historically accurate lime mortar. But some of you were very generous and you sent me gift cards to Sage Restoration. This is the only place I've found in Canada that sells the proper mortar, along with actually a lot of other historically accurate and environmentally friendly building materials. They're a really cool store, and I will be using those gift cards the very next time that I need to do some foundation work. So thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to using it, and in the meantime, we're just making do with this modern day mortar. So our goal for the day was not to completely rebuild the entire foundation because we only had a few hours of daylight left, but we just wanted to finish the bottom few rows, everything that was going to be underground, so that Jean could put the soil back with the excavator instead of us having to do it by hand later on. You can see Phil's got his phone in his hand a lot, and that's because we're constantly referencing that photo of the original foundation. Now, unfortunately, some of the rocks had basically cracked into smithereens. This doesn't seem to be from the force of the excavator, but they actually just fractured horizontally into multiple smaller rocks, and putting them all back together in their original positions was not always possible, so we definitely had to improvise in a few spots. So while Phil's doing most of the mortar work, I'm going through and picking out the correct rocks and cleaning them up. I'm knocking all the old mortar off of them because a lot of them were still covered in a bunch of the old mortar and concrete, as you can see from that big gray pile on the bottom of the screen. You can also see just how windy it is based on how much my camera is swaying, despite it being set up on a very sturdy tripod and being weighed down by a very heavy rock. Now try this. Is it 13? I feel like it could be a very good candidate. Ah, perfect.
Exactement ce qu'on voulait. Le bonhomme sourire est en avant, ça c'est beau.
Nice. Show me the smiling face.
Smiley face.
Well, at least someone's smiling. Me, I was not exactly loving the cold and wind, and I was very happy when we went inside at the end of the day. Regardless of the weather, we did manage to finish the bottom portion of the foundation in time for Jean to fill up the hole and return the excavator, and then we bid him adieu. The landscaping season was beginning in Montreal, and he needed to head back. But we are immensely grateful for the time and effort he put in helping to get the backyard and the drainage squared away. He put in so many hours behind the wheel of that excavator, and it's thanks in large part to him that the backyard is now set to withstand another 100 years of rain and water. The next morning was once again spent investigating the crawl space under the kitchen, sleuthing and learning even more about what's going on. Okay, do you want to take a sec to explain to everyone on camera what we just found?
The mystery is, why is this section of the house collapsed? The chimney is right there. We already removed the two upright section of the chimney. And so the floor joist that goes this way, the one that's in the middle of that wall, they cut it so they can put a chimney in, but then they either didn't put a new one or it's just rotted away. So this whole section didn't have any floor supports under. So the floorboards are up and rotten. That section of the floor support under. But they seem to have reinforced it when they built the platform for the bathroom on the other side. Because I can see the new wood, and it looks like they all put something nice and level there. So I don't think it can sink anymore, because it's now supported with that level floor and that reinforcement they put. But it's still almost 2 inches lower than the rest of this area. So everything is collapsed, but now they have a level floor that's holding up the things. So everything is still down, but it seems to be stabilized.
It's supported sunken.
But like it went like this, and on top of that, they built something level strong. So everything kind of collapsed, and then they kind of inserted a strong floor in the middle. But the proper thing to do would be to take the chimney out like we were gonna do anyway, and this whole bay is gonna be open, and then we can sister the joist that stops here and just level the house where we want it, and then build that joist back in structure.
Oh yeah, because you can really see it in the ceiling here.
Yeah, you can see it in the ceiling, and just the shelves. Look at the shelves. Right at the chimney, the whole shelf system goes bloop.
It doesn't really show on camera very well, unfortunately.
Here. So, not the most level shelf to start with, but, you know, level enough. But if we go here, and I keep that level going, Now you can really see, let's say if I go here, you'll see. Now I'm level, so you can see how much of a drop this section gets.
Stay there.
Yeah. So an inch and a half about. And it's just because it's missing that floor joist in the middle there. So eventually that's going to go up. Also, these bays, this one, and this one, are completely just open to open air. There's nothing in them, and it's open to the outside. If you consider the underside of this floor outside, because it's uninsulated and it's full of holes, it basically reaches outside temperature in the winter. So I can see the bottom of that shelf from that bay. And same thing, I can see here's the window, I can see the top of the window here and there. These ones are closed up because they had to, because of the floor system, because there's no wall, so I cannot see up. Same thing with this one. But yeah, all the bays of that wall have no insulation, and I can see basically all the way up.
So insulating there could be a good...
Yeah, or at least plugging the hole.
Yeah.
You know, if you just fill in the hole of the cavity with a bit of whatever what, then that becomes an inside wall, and it just, the heat, it's okay if the heat moves, but at least it doesn't. Because this was minus 20 in there during the winter.
It's okay if what? What was that? One more time for the people.
Wait. We need to open another one. That would have been the perfect sound.
Okay.
What else? Yeah, these.
Oh, but you show us the bottle you found. You found another bottle.
Where did you put it?
I put it on the windowsill over there.
There was also this little gem.
Keep it there. That's good lighting.
Low Storp. FP? That's a F.
Stuffed. Stuffed. Like fabric,
Stuffed.
maybe? Stuff is fabric in
Low
German
stuffed.
and in Danish.
And yeah, it's a peculiar shape. Very.
That's super fun.
Yeah.
And the lid?
And the lid, or it's plucked, and it looks like rolled up newspaper. So maybe just paper, not newspaper. But there might be some unrolling to do with this. Oh,
Gonna wash
cord.
that out. It can join the collection.
Yeah.
Oh, and do you want to tell them about the previous work on the sill plate that we found?
The sill plate has been replaced at some point. There's 3 or 4 chunks of half flat beams that have clearly 2 good side and 1 rotten side. So they already replaced that a long time ago. The sill plate that's there, you can see it's like a 6x8. It's really wide, but it's sitting at like this angle. It looks like the bottom of the plate here rotted, and the weight of the wall pushed it down and sunk it in. But it's like a solid 30 degrees. So it's really kind of collapsing on itself.
So, in an attempt to not leave our house with a gaping hole in the front of our foundation, gonna head back out today and continue chipping away at rebuilding it back up. It's going to be sunny, but also frigid, so fashion.
Yeah, minimal chipping. It's probably just building now.
Yeah, not literal chipping away, just, metaphorical chipping away. This black coat is killing my exposition. Hello, honey, you're going to stay inside.
She could get tied up next to us.
Get my cranky gloves.
They look so big.
Well, they are so big. They're giant, but they're insulated. They're winter work gloves, and they're amazing, especially because I have Renaults, and my fingers get cold all the freaking time. Oh, Riggerts. Ooh, they smell like concrete, too. All right. Oh, ready to go. Let's go do some mortar. If we're lucky, we can finish this up today and not have to go back out and do it tomorrow when it's going to be even colder. Cross your fingers. Alright, it's a little windy out here and there's a lot of traffic, so I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me, but here's a quick little shot of where we're at. We got pretty far last time, although it doesn't look like it because most of it is buried underground, but we had to kind of do those bottom layers so that Phil's father could then fill the rest of the land up before we gave the shovel back to the rental place. So, did get some work done, it's all just hidden. So, back to work. Gonna try and get all of this closed up today if possible because I would love to not be here doing this for yet another day. Hi, little corgi. Oh, look at the big dog. Look at the big dog. Big dog. Dig, 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 dig the whole day through. Dig, 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 dig is what we like to do. Don't think there's gonna be any getting rich quick here though. Okay, well that's clearly where the root had been. If we're building anything up in the back behind this, we should do it before we put more on here. It's just gonna make it harder to access. You don't have a glove. You wanna dig in here without your glove? My gloves are... But just a little tiny bit. Not like a big bit, just a little tiny bit. A little tiny dig. What you doing? Hey, do little peanut. Hey, Joe. Hey, Joe. You're starting with over there or over here?
Probably over here.
Okay, which is?
It should be
5, 6, 7. I can start bringing rocks and we can like see what goes in the back.
mortar. Be a bigger one. Like an actual long triangle.
What do you mean?
Like a triangle but long.
I don't think we have a whole lot of triangles.
Yeah, sure.
Here's a triangle, but I don't think it's the kind of triangle you want.
No, a triangle like this.
That ain't gonna happen.
Just a tiny little wedge in here.
Got number 7. Here's 8 and a bunch of shmoo. Sally, are you a good little doggo? Are you a good little doggo? Are you the best little doggo? Come here, yo. Sally, petit patat. Are you a good doggo? Are you a good little doggo? Mwah. This one was 10.5. What about this one then? This one's bigger. Might be too thick.
No.
Stack it dry. Ooh, I think you.
Yeah, still here. Make a chunk right here.
Like what size?
Yeah.
It's more aligned with the facade if you stick it there.
Here?
Yeah. Someone's knocking some hard nails over here. Alright, let's get some soup in there and put number 8 in. It's like too uneven. Ooh, what about this? What? Your nose is all schmooey. Why is your nose all schmooey? Give me some of the little ones that I gave you.
Under here.
So we just kept on working our way through the remaining rocks, using the reference image as much as possible and patching in with other foundation stone whenever we needed to veer a bit off course. At some point my camera died, so I finished filming with my phone, but unfortunately this is the phone that was lost/stolen before I transferred all my footage off of it, so shots like this close-up of our adorable project manager, as well as the shots of the finished wall, are forever lost, so unfortunately we'll just have to rely on this one remaining image of the final wall. Well, it took a couple sessions, but it's done, and let me tell you, does it feel super good to have one thing kind of closed up, wrapped up, a project finished for now, instead of, you know, just opening a new can of worms. Obviously, there's so much more work to be done. The whole foundation, especially that side, that bay window area, needs to be repointed, but fortunately, it's not a rush, and it can wait till I get my hands on some lime-based mortar, which is gonna make my historical soul very happy, and hopefully also, you know, my foundation. So, next thing, what's the next thing? I don't know. Narrator, what's the next thing on the list? Well, next up is getting the house ready to be closed up for the entire summer as we jet off to Norway on contract. We'll be putting finishing touches on the rock wall, digging into the chaos that is the basement wiring. It's like the octopus of doom. We're finishing off the interior French drain and generally making the house wind, water, and pest proof in order to have some peace of mind while we trade Nova Scotia for Norway. So be sure to tune in 2 weeks from now as the saga continues. Oh, that was the world's most delayed stomp.